Welcome to Streaming News Network, Evening Edition, by J. Claude McDaniel. News without the hype and biased reporting. Please like and subscribe.
This is J. Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The conflict between the United States and Iran has intensified once again following a new exchange of military strikes. Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced that it launched missiles and drones against United States military installations in Bahrain and Kuwait after American forces carried out a new wave of strikes against Iranian military targets. Iranian officials also claimed they shot down an American MQ-9 surveillance drone during the operation. Air raid sirens sounded across parts of Bahrain and Kuwait as local air defense systems responded to incoming missiles and drones. Neither the United States military nor local authorities immediately released details on any damage or casualties. Earlier, American forces struck multiple Iranian military assets after attacks on commercial oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. United States Central Command said the operation targeted dozens of Revolutionary Guard naval vessels along with air defense systems, missile sites, coastal surveillance equipment, and drone launch locations. Iran condemned the American operation as an act of aggression, accusing Washington of violating the existing ceasefire and warning that further military action could follow. While Iranian state media reported explosions near several strategic coastal locations, there were no immediate reports of civilian deaths, though some injuries were reported near commercial port facilities. The latest exchange raises fresh concerns that the fragile ceasefire could unravel, increasing the risk of wider instability throughout the Middle East and one of the world's most important international shipping routes. This is J. Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Authorities in Florida are investigating the fatal drive-by shooting of social media influencer, rapper, and Florida Atlantic University student Brianna Johnson. Police say the 21-year-old was riding in a lime green Lamborghini sport utility vehicle Sunday evening in Miramar when a white sedan pulled alongside the vehicle at an intersection and opened fire. Johnson died from her injuries. Two other occupants of the vehicle were transported to a hospital in critical condition. Investigators have not announced any arrests or identified a possible motive as the investigation continues. Family members describe Johnson as energetic, fun-loving, and dedicated to her growing music career. Her mother said Johnson had recently been performing at local events, traveling throughout Florida, and gaining attention as both a rapper and social media personality. According to her family, her music had begun attracting recognition from well-known artists and was reaching a wider audience. Johnson was reportedly spending the evening with her cousin and her best friend when the shooting occurred. Police are asking anyone with information about the attack to contact investigators as they continue working to identify those responsible. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. The White House is preparing to add a permanent helipad to the South Lawn to support the next generation of Marine One presidential helicopters. President Donald Trump announced that the granite landing pad will be funded by Sikorsky Aircraft, a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. According to the president, the project is expected to cost between $5 million and $6 million and will feature the official White House seal. Trump said the new landing area is needed because the latest VH-92 Alpha Patriot helicopters generate significantly more power than the previous fleet, causing substantial damage to the South Lawn whenever they land. A spokesperson for Lockheed Martin confirmed that Sikorsky is providing funding for the project through the National Park Service. The company said the newer presidential helicopters offer improved performance while reducing maintenance requirements compared with the older aircraft. Construction on the helipad is already underway, although neither Sikorsky nor Lockheed Martin has announced a completion date. Presidential helicopters have used the White House South Lawn since the administration of Dwight D. Eisenhower. Until now, Marine One has typically landed on temporary landing plates placed over the grass to help minimize damage. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. President Donald Trump is asking a federal judge in New York to delay the release of nearly $6 million awarded to writer E. Jean Carroll following a civil judgment against him. Trump's legal team argues that the funds should remain with the court while the Supreme Court of the United States considers a request to reconsider its earlier decision declining to hear his appeal. The amount, including accumulated interest, is now approaching $5,800,000. Attorneys for the president contend that an agreement between both parties prevents the money from being released until all Supreme Court proceedings have concluded. They also argue that if the verdict were later overturned, recovering the funds could become difficult if they had already been distributed. Carroll's attorneys disagree, saying the Supreme Court has already declined to hear the appeal and that the judgment should now be paid without further delay. They have asked the trial judge to authorize the release of the funds, arguing that additional postponement would be unfair. The judge has not yet ruled on the competing requests. The outcome will determine whether the money remains on deposit with the court while Trump's latest petition is considered or is released to Carroll in the coming days. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Actress Louise Lasser, best known for starring in the groundbreaking 1970s television series Mary Hartman, has died at the age of 87. Lasser began her acting career on Broadway in the early 1960s, serving as an understudy to Barbra Streisand before moving into television and film. She later appeared in several early movies directed by Woody Allen, to whom she was previously married. Her breakout role came in 1976 when she was cast as Mary Hartman, an ordinary housewife navigating increasingly bizarre situations in a satirical series that challenged traditional television storytelling. Although the show ran for just 2 seasons, it produced more than 300 episodes and earned Lasser widespread recognition, including a nomination for a Primetime Emmy Award. Throughout her career, she also appeared on numerous popular television programs, including The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, as well as a variety of dramatic and comedy series. Louise Lasser leaves behind a legacy as a talented performer whose unique style helped redefine television comedy and satire during one of the medium's most innovative eras. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. Authorities in Ohio are investigating a fatal crash that claimed the life of University of Massachusetts Lowell soccer player Toby Forsyth. Investigators say the 21-year-old goalkeeper died after a commercial truck struck the rear of a vehicle on Interstate 71 in Ohio. The truck driver, identified as Beksad Asarov, age 42, has been identified by authorities as the driver involved in the collision. According to officials, Asarov holds an Ohio commercial driver's license. Reports also indicate that communication with responding troopers required the use of a translation application because he did not speak English fluently. Authorities are investigating additional allegations that he attempted to remove a dashboard camera from his truck following the crash. Forsyth, an economics major, had recently joined the University of Massachusetts Lowell men's soccer program after previously competing for Ashland University and Shawnee State University. University officials remembered him as a dedicated student-athlete whose work ethic and character left a lasting impression on teammates and coaches. The case has also renewed discussion within the Trump administration over commercial driver licensing standards and English language proficiency requirements for commercial vehicle operators. The investigation into the crash remains ongoing, and authorities have not announced a final determination regarding any additional charges. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has added Minnesota businessman Fahad Mohammed Nur to its Most Wanted Fraudsters List, accusing him of orchestrating a scheme that allegedly stole more than $5 million from a federal child nutrition program during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to investigators, Nur owned a company that claimed to supply food through Minnesota's federal child nutrition program. Authorities allege he submitted fraudulent invoices to obtain millions of dollars intended to provide meals for children before laundering the proceeds. Federal officials say Nur has been a fugitive since 2022 and is believed to have ties to Somalia, where investigators suspect he may currently be located. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for information leading to his arrest and conviction. FBI Director Kash Patel said the agency's Most Wanted Fraudsters initiative has already led to multiple arrests and is part of a broader effort by the federal government to identify and prosecute those accused of defrauding taxpayers during the pandemic. Officials say investigations into pandemic-related fraud remain ongoing nationwide, with authorities continuing to pursue suspects both inside and outside the United States. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The Allen County Coroner's Office has released the cause of death for a 75-year-old Indiana woman who died following an altercation inside a Tim Hortons restaurant in Fort Wayne. According to the coroner, Anita Grayson died from an acute flare-up of congestive heart failure that occurred during or immediately after the physical confrontation. Officials classified the manner of death as undetermined, stating they could not conclusively determine whether it should be considered natural, accidental, or a homicide. Police say the incident began after Grayson became upset over a drive-through coffee order. Investigators allege she argued with an employee before becoming involved in a physical struggle with a shift manager after being asked to leave the restaurant. Authorities allege Grayson struck the manager during the confrontation, and the two wrestled before other employees intervened. Following the incident, Grayson reportedly sat down inside the restaurant, later collapsed, and became unresponsive. Emergency responders transported her to a hospital, where she was pronounced dead. The investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident remains ongoing. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, commonly known as SLED, is investigating evidence discovered in the office of the late Dillon County Sheriff's Office Sheriff Douglas Purnell. According to investigators, family members, friends, and sheriff's deputies were packing the sheriff's personal belongings after his death in August of 2023 when they encountered a locked desk drawer. After opening it, they reportedly discovered multiple sealed and damaged evidence bags, some containing cash. Officials say the items were immediately secured, documented, and placed into the department's evidence vault. Within days, the sheriff's office requested that SLED open a formal investigation to determine how the evidence came to be in the drawer, whether money had been removed from any of the bags, and if so, how much was missing. Investigators later conducted a detailed search of the sheriff's office and spent the following months interviewing members of the sheriff's command staff and other personnel familiar with evidence handling procedures. Authorities have not announced any criminal charges, and the investigation remains ongoing as officials continue to determine the source of the cash and whether any evidence was improperly handled.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and our short reports. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.